I also hope that Democratic control of the House and Senate will raise the odds of prompt action on increasing the minimum wage. I've long said that we need to reward work, not just wealth in this country. People in both parties now recognize it's time to raise the minimum wage.
What's up, you guys? That was Joe Biden. That was him talking. He was talking about raising the minimum wage, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. I'm going to give you my opinion on it and tell you why I think it's a terrible idea. And then I actually have a very personal experience with this. A few years ago, I was working at a sports bar here in LA. I was working part-time, and I worked there when they rolled out, after the new year, they increased our wage by $1 an hour, and I saw the effects it had on me, on our business, and the surrounding businesses. So I will tell you that at the very end. First, let's look at this this American rescue plan that Joe Biden is unleashing, and it includes 100 million vaccines in the first 100 days, eviction moratorium extended through 9/21, $15 minimum wage, $400 per week unemployment insurance, paid sick and family leave. Okay, that's his plan. And obviously we're focusing on the $15 an hour minimum wage increase and why I think it's a bad idea. So who does that hurt more than anyone? Now, a lot of people think this is a good idea, and I've also always been told to be weary of people that sell you things, especially politicians that sound too good to be true, and that's one of these things, because yep, that sounds great. We should all make $15 an hour minimum wage. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Who wouldn't want that? But the devil is always in the details, and the devil is always in the unintended consequences of things of this nature. So if you're let's look at what's happening right now. A lot of our businesses have been hurting and shut down. Our larger corporations like Amazon, CVS are increasing profits during this time when our small businesses are the ones that are suffering. People are ordering things from home, or they're going to the larger box stores, which are allowed to remain open. So you're already seeing that. And when you have a smaller business, maybe it's a family-owned business, maybe it's a salon somewhere, or a beauty shop, or a boutique, or a small coffee shop. And these business owners, in order to stay in business, they pay a lot of money. So they have a lot of overhead, and labor costs a lot for them to remain open. So some of these businesses could only be seeing a profit of maybe a few $1,000s a month, which isn't a whole lot. So imagine putting this on top of them. What is that going to do? It's going to force them to either get rid of some employees or cut their hours back so they can maintain their profitability and stay in business. And here, right here it says, many economists and business executives who point out that labor is a major cost of doing business argue that businesses will be forced to cut jobs to maintain profitability. The 2019 CBO report estimates that raising the minimum wage $15 an hour by 2025 would result in the loss of approximately 1.3 million jobs. So that's a lot of jobs that would be lost. And the scary thing about what they're rolling out right here is you're going to have all these jobs lost, and then you're raising unemployment. You're adding another $400 a week to unemployment. You're basically pushing people to be reliant on themselves and pushing them to be reliant on the government, and then giving more power to the large corporations. This person on Twitter said, and I agree, that's why I pulled it up, after a year of knocking small businesses out with lockdowns and restrictions, a $15 minimum wage would be a final nail in surviving businesses' coffins. For large corporations, it will lead to increased automation, and a tremendous uptick in unemployment will ensue. Not good. I completely agree, you guys. And look at this. Okay, so this meme was going around on Twitter and got retweeted a bunch of times, and I just think it's evil. It says, if you can't pay $15 an hour to your employees, maybe you shouldn't own a business. Wow, that is very elitist, kind of mean, to be honest with you, because again, who are the ones that can afford to survive through this? It's our big corporations again. It's the Targets and the Walmarts. They're the ones that can afford to lose however much it's going to cost to pay all their employees an extra money a year. They can afford to lose that. It's the smaller businesses, the ones that are suffering, that can't afford that. And I learned something else. I did not realize what percentage of businesses in America make up small businesses, and it's a lot. In 2020, the number of small businesses in the U.S. reached 31.7 million, making up nearly all 99.9% of U.S. businesses. This is also representative of the sustained growth as it marks okay, we don't need to know that part. That I made my point with that. But 99.9% of all of our businesses are small businesses. So I don't agree with this. And I'm going to give you a personal story of mine and what happened to me. So a few years ago, I was working at a sports bar. I was working part-time. It was a great job. I was auditioning in LA, doing that, and then going to work at night to work at my job and make money. And the reason why I worked there, and the reason why a lot of people work there, is because it's flexible. You have flexible hours. So I was able to do that and then go audition or go do performances or whatever else I wanted to do. And it gave me the flexibility to move my shifts around or switch shifts and things like that. A lot of the people I worked with, they were in school, or they were single parents, or they were, in some kind of study program trying to better themselves or trying to start another business of their own. And it was great working where we did because, again, it was flexible. We could move around shifts. You go, you make your tips, and you go home. Well, when they raised the minimum wage, they also, in order to keep their profitability, they also had to increase everything on our menu. So the exact day that our minimum wage went up $1 per hour, we had a new menu rollout. Everything on our menu got more expensive, which turned out to stink for me because the type of bar we had regulars that were coming in for years, and we were already expensive because of where we were located. And then they added this on top of it, and a lot of our regulars were not happy about the price increase. People ordered less when they came in, and people came in less because we were a sports bar. They didn't want to come in and pay an arm and a leg just to have a few beers or to have a plate of nachos or to watch a game. So my business personally went down. I had to deal with people complaining all the time about how our prices went up and it was too expensive, so that stunk. And I go back to, we were allowed to be flexible. We were allowed to switch shifts, and I'm like, can you work my Friday? I'll work this. And it allowed us to do that and allowed us to pursue what we wanted to pursue on the side. Well, then when our wages were increased, all of a sudden our managers got really nervous about us reaching 40 hours a week and got really nervous about us having overtime. So we weren't allowed to switch shifts anymore. I wasn't allowed to work as much. I used to be able to work like 5 or 6 days a week if I wanted to, and I love that, and I felt like I was in control of myself and I worked as much as I wanted to. But when they raised our prices, all of a sudden they had to regulate our hours a lot more, and I couldn't work as much. So I didn't end up making any more money. And how it affected the businesses around us, everything else around us got more expensive because the businesses had to maintain their profitability, or at least some profitability. Labor is really expensive. So not only was I not making any more money, I was dealing with all this crap at work that sucked. I probably actually ended up making less money because I couldn't pick up as many shifts. I loved picking up shifts, and I wasn't allowed to do that anymore. And on top of that, things got more expensive for me because all the businesses around me, all their items all the restaurants, they got more expensive to maintain their profitability. So I'm not for it. And that's why, let me know if you agree, if you disagree, if you have any experience with that. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.